What's up, guys? This right here is my new car. Got out of the Maxima and I really wanted to get into something more purpose-built. So this is what I got. Yeah, I'm gonna go over it today. Kind of just explain a lot of the smaller details about it so that you guys kind of have an idea of what it is and what's to come of the channel, because it's no longer gonna be Maxima stuff. This is a 2003 Nissan 350Z. It's a touring package, so it comes with leather heated power seats, comes with an LSD, traction control, cruise control, HID headlights, Bose audio. It comes with a lot of the stuff, just a lot of the creature comforts, which is super nice because this car is my daily. So it's got everything I'd want inside of it, and it's a great starting platform, especially having the LSD and the traction control and all those things. It was one of the better cars, or one of the better Zs to get into for me. And it being a DE, it's still relatively cheap and more in my price range. I'll go ahead and start off with this interior, just to kind of show what's up with it. It's mainly stock interior. It's just got a head unit, a shift knob, my Nismo gas pedal down there. The rest of it's all here. It's a black interior, love it. The seat's a little ruined. A little is kind of an understatement, but I actually just found a basically mint condition brand new seat yesterday at the junkyard, and I bought it, so that's gonna be going in soon. It has typical Z problems like a sagging door. I don't know if you can see it, but you could hear it when I close. It just doesn't sound too great because the door is sagging, but I also picked up new door hinges. So it's just gonna be stuff like that getting installed. The rest of it's all stock, just got some tint. But besides that, that's pretty much it for the interior. I'll go ahead and pop the hood and we can start there, just because it's one of the easier starts. The hood is an HR hood, meaning it has a slightly different design and it's made out of aluminum. I love the fact that the car came with it. I guess we'll start down here. I have a Z1 master cylinder brace, as you can see in there. Makes the brakes feel absolutely amazing. I have a Z1 radiator air guide. I have a Z1 under tray. You can kind of see it down there, a little aluminum plate. And under here, you can see it. I believe that's all for kind of the Z1 stuff. For power mods, I have an intake. If you count this as a power mod, it just sounds really good. I put some gold tape on it just to reflect some heat away from it. It's been working pretty good. Love the way this thing sounds. Have no complaints with that. I have my 75mm throttle body that I had on the Maxima. Made it fit on here. It's the exact same throttle body and everything, so it works just perfectly. I got a 5/16 Motordyne plunge spacer. I got it from the junkyard for like 15 bucks, so you can't go wrong with that. Just the typical VQ bolt-on mods. And so far, I mean, they haven't given me any issues. I mean, they don't really give you a huge feel and power, but it does definitely help. It's undeniable that it will help. So I'm just glad to have it. I've got some aluminum valve covers. That's hot. I didn't think those were gonna be so hot. Got some aluminum valve covers, just because the plastic ones were leaking, and I figured I'd upgrade to the Amazon ones. They're made by Midzone. The Maxima guys use them all the time, so I have no complaints with them. Like I said, HID headlights, super nice. I do like having them. I miss the HIDs on my Maxima, and then ended up getting with this car, so that's sweet. Another thing I forgot to mention is the sway bars, front and rear. They are Hotchkiss adjustable sway bars. The front is set to the stiffest setting, and the rear is set to the softest setting. I'll go ahead and step over here so you can hopefully get a little peek at the rear. Yeah, there's the rear sway bar down there. You can see them both. And transitioning from that, I guess I'll go into suspension. This car, unfortunately, is on Raceland coilovers. It's their Ultimo series, so they're not their base model, but kind of their middle line. I got them at the junkyard for 130 bucks, and as soon as I get another car in the junkyard that is like on Megans or BCs or something, I'll end up buying those. But for right now, these ride super similar to stock. They just allow me to get way lower, which is the only reason I got them. So honestly, don't have many complaints with them. They're a little over dampened and undersprung, but again, they're super cheap. 130 bucks, can't go wrong. I think for suspension, besides like some arms, that's it. All the front suspension is completely stock arms and everything. The rear just has some Trueheart camber arms, as you can see there, just to adjust camber. I need to get aftermarket toe arms, but I don't know if I want to stay true coilover or if I want to go with a divorce setup like stock. Got some SPL eccentric lockouts, solid diff bushings in there, aluminum ones, and then I got some Z1 subframe collars installed just to stiffen up the rear end of the car. The diff bushing's super cheap on a deal, and I ended up getting these subframe collars also super cheap from a guy used. So I just ended up going with them. I believe for suspension, that's really it. Just the sway bars, the coils. For right now, at least that's it. I plan to do a lot more to this car, but it's kind of still, I've only had it for 2 months, so it's kind of at a slower pace as of right now. Another thing I forgot to mention is this little shorty antenna. My car didn't have an antenna when it was on it, so I ended up putting one on just to make it look a little better. The hatch, as you might be able to tell, if you're into Z's at all, it has a wiper delete and it's just been shaved. The hatch is shaved, so no emblem, no wiper, no nothing. Definitely do love that. While we're on the topic of cosmetics, I have these Aerowolf mirror visors. I just thought they look cool. You can see they're kind of blue, but they're also kind of clear, so they go decent with the car, and I do like the way they look. For exhaust, I don't have the typical VQ test pipes and Y pipe and everything. For right now, it's just an ISR blast pipe, 3-inch blast pipe exhaust. I like the way this thing sounds. It's pretty quiet. It's very tame. It's got a good tone to it, and it's loud enough for me as of right now. I have a Y pipe for this car. I haven't put it in yet because when I did try to put one in, one of the bolts in the cats ended up snapping. That's the first bolt I tried to take off, so I ended up just leaving it at that. And I'm going to tackle it another day, but for right now, it's literally just the cat back. It sounds really good. I'll go ahead and insert a clip right now if I have one. And that's that. As for brakes, wheels, and tires, as you see, this car has a full set of Brembos on it. This is not a factory Brembo car. I ended up sourcing the set of them for a decent deal. I don't love paying for them, but I figured I'd go with the Brembos just because they're OEM to the car. And they should be more than enough. I wanted to keep weight down on each corner. So these are much lighter than the Akibonos because the Akibonos use that 14-inch rotor, which is huge compared to these ones. These still use a pretty big rotor. It's a 12.75 and a 12.6-inch rotor in the rear. These are super thick, have tons of cooling. And I actually had the same Brembo calipers on my Maxima, and it never gave me a problem with an even smaller rotor. I mean, the pads got a little hot, but I was really pushing that car, and the weight balance was a lot different than this car, so these should have no problems keeping up. As for rotors, I went with some StopTech Sport rotors. They're just some slotted ones. I didn't want to go drilled because drilled is not good for brake cooling. Like you'd think so. They actually end up cracking, and they are weaker. So I just went with some slotted StopTech ones. And so far, I have no complaints. I like the way they look. The slot design's super simple, and they do have a great cooling design. And I like the fact that they have the black coating, just that they don't rust and look bad like some other brake rotors. Moving on to wheels now. These are a set of Enkai PFO1s. These are a lot harder to find on Z's than like RPF1s, for instance. And I honestly like the way these look a lot more, probably just because they're not as played out in the Z market. But just for specs, they're an 18 by 9.5 plus 15 and an 18 by 10.5 plus 15. And the tire we have on these is a Michelin Pilot Sport 4S. I'm loving these tires. The size I went with is a 285/40 in the rear and a 265/40 in the front. They're honestly pretty massive, but I'm loving it. The amount of grip this car holds through corners is just insane. And I figured after my last car, I did want to really spend the extra money and just get a nice set of tires. And right now I have no complaints. You really do get what you pay for with tires. It's the only thing connecting your car to the ground. So it is important to kind of spend the extra money just for some security. This car is on no spacers or anything. This is literally just the wheels. I do need to take out some camber from the rear, but honestly, it already sits really nicely. And the front sits perfect, even without adjustable camber arms or anything. So this is how the car sits right now. Like I said, basically, just wanted to introduce it to the channel. That way, whenever I do start posting things about it, it's not super weird and out of the ordinary when I start like doing little how-tos on this stuff. So yeah, this is the car. I want to document the whole process with it. So every small thing down to like me doing the door hinges or me changing out some interior pieces. I'm probably going to film all of it just because I want all of it to be documented on the channel. So I think it'd be good to look back on, and it'd be kind of like an old school forum thread, but on YouTube. So it's easier to watch, a little more fun, and some good information.